Chapter 17. I felt as low as a submarine. I'd been reckless, and I'd been wrong. I'd put both of my friends in danger. I'd forgotten to stay alert. I'd been dumb. I'd been stupid. I'd been careless. Meow culpa. That's Latin, and it means I am one guilty cat. You're awfully hard on yourself, Sammy. Sue was sitting up on her windowsill, the one that faces the rear, and I was holding forth on a garbage pail. I mean, you were partly right. In any case, you were right about Dvorak being involved. And what did it get me, I said. Nothing. I'm an idiot. I'm a flop. I mean, first of all, I should have caught the clue that the clock had stopped. I started pacing around the lid. And what was the clue? She said. Dvorak. Friday night in his front windowsill. I watched him winding the clock. I should have figured it. Figured what? That any clock that you wind up would be a clock that could wind down. You said could, she said. Yeah. I was nodding. Could and did. Could and did, she explained, are different. Goodness gracious, Sam, for every single did, there's 1,000 coulds, and every could become a did. So tell me honestly, Sammy, how could you know which of the 1,000 coulds could be the could that became the did? Well, I couldn't, I said, and didn't. I looked up at her. I have absolutely no idea what you said. I don't either, she said. Good. We were silent a while. Finally, I hoisted myself to my feet, and then announced I was going to Rosie's. Sue was horrified. Oh, no, Sam. You mustn't. I mean, you can't. I mean, look at you. What's the matter? Only your face, she said. It looks about as long as a rainy day. You'll make her crazy. She has to be told. Well, then I'll be the one to tell her. Would you really? I said. Of course. You're a perfect angel, you know. Wrong. I am a perfect person, however. Right. I had to grin at her. Even then, she had the talent to make me grin. I guess I'll be going, I said. The slanted eyes looked a little wistful. So you're not going to tell me where? Not at the moment, I said. I wouldn't want you to get any wrong ideas. Wrong ideas, she snapped. Right. The wrong idea, of course, would be that I had the right idea all along. The big idea about Mary Beth. She didn't do it, I said. Fine. Then why are you going to Mary Beth's? I just shrugged. Because I can't think of anywhere else to go. The address that I got from the telephone book, 11 McNoodle Alley, had an entrance across from the park. This particular park was empty, rather odd for the afternoon, but I decided to shortcut through it, bugging the pigeons, smelling the flowers, testing the trees, and feeling the bristly, pleasant tickle of winter grass. There were signs, of course. The signs that threatened do not walk on the grass, or climb the flowers, or pick the trees. And then the rest of the signs. The nastier signs. The circle and angry slash. Thank you for not, they started. Sitting. Knitting. Spitting. Feeding the birds. Thank you for not, they continued. Neighing. Graying. Straying. Playing with words. Thank you for not, they demanded. Sniffing. Sneezing. Hiking. Biking. Talking. Teasing, walking, gawking, squawking, squeezing, chalking, hawking, balking, freezing, hopping, stopping, window shopping, parking, barking, magic marking, nesting, questing, roof infesting, proving less than interesting, hugging, mugging, chug-a-lugging, snowing, growing, pigeon-toeing, cooing, mooing, spewing, stewing, peeping, creeping, sleeping, gluing, chewing, mewing, rat-tattooing. Stop it this instant, whatever you're doing. I have to admit it. I was happy to leave the park and even gladder to reach the gutter where, Potentially, at least, I was free to tattoo a rat, and it was nobody else's business. I turned at a metal sign. McNoodle Alley, it said. I felt as though I'd entered a warp in time. There it was. McNoodle Alley the way it was in the 1850s. Historical landmark, reported the sign. It was blissfully, beautifully quiet. Little houses with actual porches and actual gardens fronted the street and added the pleasures of grassy calm. I tried to picture it, living then, with no traffic jams in the street and only the clippity-clop of a horse or two, the pleasant run of a lawn, the easy leap to a neighbor's window, oyster pies as they cooled on the sill. I checked the windows of number 11. 3 were open and 5 were closed. The house itself was a box of brick, 2 stories, with white shutters, and wandering ivy that dappled the walls and dripped at the windows like animate fringe. A sandy head jutted out of a window. For a moment I caught my breath, and then I remembered. It wasn't Sandy, it had to be Felix. Felix, the twin. The stark resemblance addled my brain. The same whiskers, the same tail, the same body, the same paws, and even the same nose. The same arrogant tiger's nose with a black tip. "Was there something you wanted?" he said. "Yeah." I punted quickly and ad-libbed. I said, "Mouse Inspector." "What?" "Inspector Codger," I blatted. "Subdivision 20, the Board of Health." "You've got to be kidding," he tested. "Nope. Inspector Kidding," I said, "is ill. Inspector Codger is at your service." Tangled emotions fought for his face. An utter contempt for the city's bureaucrat, a fear of the city's power. The fear triumphed. He let me in and let me trample around on his carpets, sniff at his closets, snoop in his drawers. I looked at a living room, small and tidy, a pretty kitchen with yellow walls, and then with Felix inches behind me, followed a foyer to creaking stairs, to a tiny bathroom, a tinier hall, and into the wonderful world of the bedroom. Garden flowers scented the air. Flowers were everywhere, sketched on the comforter, drawn on the draperies, climbing the walls, and then, in person, posing in pots. No Sandy. "And not a mouse," I said. "You finished?" I looked around. A couple of suitcases, slightly dusty, sat on the opposite end of the floor. A couple of photos rested beside them. Candid photos of Mary Beth in her radiant finery. Golden girlness garbed in glittering golden gown, someone had hand-written on as an afterthought. In fact, I thought, whoever thought of the afterthought had it right. I must have sighed, an unintended, uninspectorish kind of sigh. Felix snapped at it. "Who are you really?" "Private detective," I offered. "Sam." "I work for your sister." He didn't blink. "For Ugly Anna?" he said. "Who?" "My only sister," he said. "Yeah, well, she's recently Antoinette." "Very recently, I assume. So what's her problem?" he said. "She still believes I heisted her yellow dish?" "I'd like to tell you about it, Felix. It isn't funny." "It's not the dish?" "Then break it gently," he said. I tried. We settled down on the bed of roses. Felix listened with steady eyes, deeper than Sandy's, deeper than Wells'. After I'd finished, he furrowed his brow and stared at the ceiling a while. "It's just hard to believe it," he said. "Hey, Inspector Kidding is out of town." "I mean about Casey," he said. "I mean, I never figured he's really bad. You know, I lived with the guy for a while." After I nodded, he rambled on. "It wasn't easy, I'll tell you that. He didn't talk to me, not at first. He called me Hey or Hey Furball. And the thing is, I just lost my family, my whole farm, and there I was. I was pretty low. But he didn't hurt me. I didn't starve. And then, all of a sudden, he changed." Felix waited, watching the air. "One night," he continued softly, "I recall it was very late, he came back to the dark apartment, And he didn't turn on the lights. He just sat on the edge of his sofa, drinking his coffee all in the dark, and he whispered, "Felix, I'm very sorry. I'm really stupid. It's not your fault." And after that, he just poured his heart out. Felix looked at me. Not at me. I had a hunch he was looking at Casey. "After that," he said, "we were friends. I mean, we talked a lot. You know, we did some guy things together. Playing with towels, playing with balls." "And what happened?" I said. "Well, he had a blaster with Mary Beth. A stupid quarrel." "About?" "Well, about everything, I suppose. But really mostly about the money and this one particular friend of his." "Dvorak?" I said. Felix shot me a look of complete respect. "Slomo Dvorak," he said. "Yeah, the main investor in Casey's movie. He's an actor. He wanted a part, so he offered the money. She called him a fool. I mean, Casey she called a fool. She called Dvorak a dangerous dog. 'And I have to warn you,' she said, 'you go to bed with dogs and you wake with fleas.' I had to smile. My own mother used to tell me exactly that." Felix shrugged at me. "So did mine, but Casey had already taken the money, so she told him he'd better go. She still loves him, I think. She found some old photographs. There on the floor." He gestured quickly. She read the captions. Casey'd written them. "Beautiful girl in her beautiful ball gowns," or something. Anyway, she read them and she started to cry. Felix stared at the papered wall. "So what's with the luggage?" I said. "Oh, she's leaving town for a couple of weeks." "She's quitting the theater?" I said. "Never. The show's closing," he said. "There's 3 more performances, 1 tonight and the 2 tomorrow, and then it's done and they go to Connecticut." "Who's the they?" "The whole production," he said. "They pack it up in boxes and hit the road. The whole scenery, all the costumes, all the performers." "The whole cast?" Felix was nodding. "Worst of all, she sends her sister to stay at the house. A real baby talker, you know. She calls me Snookums. 'Snookums, wantums, whittle wawa,' she goes. Blech." "So when are they leaving?" I said. "Oh, Monday morning at 9 o'clock." I was silent, terribly scared. Time was ticking. Ticked like a bomb. "Where would they hide him?" I asked. "Sandy?" "Slomo Dvorak's." "He isn't there." "Well, he isn't at Casey's. Casey moved to one of those condos with no pets, no children, and no fun." "Sounds pretty scary," I said. "Yeah, I know what you mean. You mean about Sandy." Felix was frowning. "I'm scared silly," he said. "Sam, if I can help you in any way, I'll take you up on it, kiddo. Please."